Welcome to the Excelsior Health Podcast. This is the podcast for busy professionals and busy parents who are looking to lose 20 plus pounds of fat while building their strength so they can ultimately transform their health. What we do, guys, on this podcast, we take the complicated, confusing aspects of fitness and nutrition, and we simplify it so that way you guys can have real strategies, real tactics, real habits that produce you real results. I'm your host, Coach Cory Fernandez, the owner of Training for Warriors Saga, guys, and we are continuing our little theme that we've had going on, our little series on the 5 myths that are holding back busy professionals from transforming their health. All right, so today is a common phrase that I hear, and it's a myth that we are going to break and change your beliefs. It's that you are too old to start your transformation journey, and you're too old to get results. All right, so let's break this down a little bit. Most people, when they say they're too old, what follows that is like, yeah, you know, I'm working out, I'm eating a certain way, I'm doing a lot of the things that I used to do, but you know what? My metabolism's changed. My metabolism is just different. You know, like I'm older now, so therefore I can't get the results. And guys, that is so far from reality, and it's just not the truth. A lot of research is showing that your metabolism from pretty much your 20s to up towards your 60, like your early 60s, it's pretty much the same. There is no significant differences in your metabolism and ability to burn calories. Where the change happens is when you're in your 60s, right? So for those of you watching, which I'm sure a lot of you guys fall under this category of you're in your late 30s, you're in your 40s or in your 50s, all this time that maybe you've gained 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 plus pounds, it's not because your metabolism stopped working for you. Instead, what I need you to understand, guys, it's not your metabolism, it's your lifestyle that has changed. Okay, so when I'm saying your lifestyle has changed, what I'm talking about is your daily habits, your routines. So let's go back. When you're, a teenager, and for most of us, that's probably our slimmest times, not everybody, but for a lot of people, what are you doing as a teenager? You're probably moving all the time, whether you're walking everywhere, you're taking the bus, you're riding a bike, you're more active in sports and extracurricular activities. All those things are forms of movement that equates to throughout your day, you're burning more calories. You're exerting more activity. So that's going to make an impact on how your weight and your overall management of your body fat percentage is. All right. So starting there, that's your teens. Now let's just say you're up in your 20s, whether it's in college, university, you enter the workforce. Now, sometimes people will gain a little bit more weight. It's not because anything changed drastically from being a teenager to your 20s. It's your lifestyle. So sometimes when it comes to the lifestyle, you're going to see that now you have a little bit more stress. For people that are in college or university, if you go back, you hear about the freshman 15 or you hear about things like that. Things changed. Whether you're in class, more sedentary, you're studying more and you're more sedentary, that's what leads to the weight gain. Now, most of us are not, it's been years since we've been in our 20s, but now what I want you to think is like maybe you're in your 30s and 40s. What happens in your 30s and 40s? You are in a consistent career. So because you're in this career now, the work demands that you have that you maybe didn't have as much in your 20s and teens, now it's even higher. So you have less time to walk, exercise, do all the things, eat properly because of your stress from work and your career. Add on top of that, guys, what about having kids, right? So let's say now you had 1 kid, 2 kids, 3 kids. More of your stress, more of your time goes towards that aspect of your life, and less of it is going to moving, eating, sleeping, so forth. So other things too, as we get, older, a lot of times our eating habits, they get worse, right? So now as a busy adult, instead of going out and, participating in sports or physical activity, sometimes your social activities are, hey, I'm going to go have a couple alcoholic beverages or going to have some drinks with my friends. right? Or I'm going to have some substances. I'm going to smoke some cigarettes. I'm going to smoke some weed, whatever it is. But the point is all these lifestyle changes together, they are what impacts your overall weight, your body fat percentage, and your health. So to recap, from your 20s, guys, to your 60s, it's not that your metabolism started breaking down on you. It's that your lifestyle habits, they got worse. Okay? You started eating more food. You started consuming more alcohol. You started having more stress in your life, and you started sleeping less. Pair that up with you don't walk as much as you used to. You used to be active and play sports and move around. You maybe used to work out more. Now those movements are down. You're not burning as much calories. This is what's impacting your health. All right. So hopefully everybody's with me so far, guys. And this is why literally our program at Training for Warriors exists. Our slogan that we say is we help busy professionals lose fat while focusing on their strength. And most of the time, the people that we're helping, they're typically the busy professional that's in their late 30s to late 50s. That's our sweet spot because we understand that their physical activity, their eating habits has gotten away from them. We understand that their stress is probably at an all-time high because of their commitment to their family, their commitment to their career, but also they're in a place where they know they should be healthier and they should be living a different way. So we have so many examples of people that they came to us. Yes, they started in their 50s and 60s, and now their health is on a completely different trajectory. So just to say a couple people, for example, one of our clients, MK the Motivator, we had here on the podcast before. When MK started her journey with us, she was 57 years old. She was 260 pounds. She hadn't worked out for decades. But now when we fast forward, I want to say it's been almost 8 years that MK has been a consistent client and student of Training for Warriors Saga. She's walking around, 100 pounds down in her 160s, almost 150s. And it's not that her metabolism is crazily different. It's she changed her lifestyle. MK is now working out 3 to 4 days a week consistently. She's walking every day. She's paying attention to her food. Other examples, Mary. Mary was someone who came in. Mary's, I believe, 63 right now. Mary came in. She was already relatively thin. She wasn't overweight, but she had a higher body fat percentage. And with the focus on resistance training and lifting some weights, she's now shaped her body and now she's preserving her muscle mass as she's navigating through her 60s. Another client who they're not too old to transform and rebuild their health, Jeff McNeil. So Jeff McNeil is in his 50s and the guy's shredded. He's walking around now at 10 to 14% body fat. And when he started the journey, he was almost above 20% body fat, right? Almost teetering in that unhealthy category. But what Jeff does, he comes to the dojo 3 days a week. He focuses on progressive overload and he does his best in his very busy lifestyle to track his protein, eat water, and get reasonable sleep. All right. So again, as we're trying to break apart this myth, those of you guys that are watching right now that are doubting yourself, you are not too old, right? Yes, you might be 38 and you're look completely different than you did at 21. There's still possibility that you can transform. You could be in your 40s with 3 kids, and now is the time that you get in the best shape of your life. And you can definitely be in your 50s and 60s, just changing the story of what fitness should be. Most people think when they get in their 50s and 60s, they don't belong in a gym. I'm here to tell you, those are the people that should be in the gym the most, because not only is it going to affect your body, it's going to affect your mind, and just your overall life is dependent on you being physically active and eating healthier. All right. So a couple things that I want to highlight, guys. That last point I was saying, it's not so much your metabolism, it's your lifestyle habits. Here's a great quote from one of my mentors in one of his books. I wrote this down a while ago and it fits perfectly with what we're talking about today. You don't lose your strength and power because you've grown old. You've grown old because you stopped using your strength and power. That's by Martin Rooney. So I want to dissect that for a second. We think that because the clock is passing, the age goes up, that we're just like, man, I can't do it no more. A lot of times for people, it's the actions that you stop doing. It actually accelerated how you feel. So there's plenty of 42-year-olds that they're moving around and they're behaving like they're 62 years old, right? And then there's people that are like 63 and they got this vibrant energy and they're moving around and they step in the room, but they're acting like they're 38. And I just gave you guys several examples. And if you go through our testimonials, our transformation photos, or if you really just walk around our dojo, you would see yourself working out with so many people that are in their 40s and 50s that they're either lifting similar weights or they got similar body fat percentages or just similar attitudes as people that are in their 30s and early 40s, right? So what you want to think of is, man, I have to use my strength. I have to use my power on an everyday, weekly basis so that way I don't grow old. Yes, my age is going to come up, just that's the way it is. But if I'm acting and I'm lifting and I'm doing these things, it's going to prevent me from feeling old. So I'm sure many of you guys know, as you get older, you're losing more muscle. So, whether it's, I think the process starts as we get into our 30s, but definitely for most people, as you get into your 40s, your 50s, they almost say it's like, it could be close to 2% muscle per year that people start losing unless they start prioritizing resistance training and eating healthier. So for those of you guys who resonate with this quote, what does using your strength and power look like? It means, hey, you know what? 2 to 3 days a week, can you pick up some weights? And if I were to add in there, I would say, can we pick up some heavy weights? And mind you, heavy weights is different for every person. So I'm a 37-year-old male. If I took, one of our clients that we have here, Ms. Jara, we call her, she's in her, I think she's 51. My heavy weight, which could be a 500 plus pound deadlift, that doesn't mean that's heavy for Ms. Jara. Heavy for her might be a 185 pound deadlift, and that's fantastic. Someone else who's starting their journey, who hasn't worked out for 10 years, for them, a 50 pound kettlebell deadlift, that might be heavy weight for them. So heavy is relative. The purpose is that we should be challenging our body in a safe way, but we should challenge it with some heavy weight that stimulates the ability to build muscle. All right. Other things that I highly recommend, guys, when it comes to building muscle is like, hey, we got to move. So exert some power. So for some people that are able to, it's short distance sprints. That is phenomenal. Some people are not physically ready for that. Other things that we love to do in our program is like med ball tosses. So we'll take a med ball and we'll throw it over our head. We'll slam it on the floor. We'll throw it to the side. This is your ability to exert power. It's doing something with fast intention. So a lot of people stop doing these things, right? We stop lifting up heavy things. We stop jumping off the ground. We stop throwing things. And because we stop doing these things, yes, our ability to preserve our muscle or grow muscle, it steadily declines each year because of our inactivity. All right. So keep that as a mindset. If you are resistance training, anywhere from 2 to 3 days a week, you want to be lifting some weights. You want to be throwing things, right? Med balls are great tools for that. Even small plyometrics, right? So it doesn't mean you have to do a big box jump as a 50-year-old woman or, 40-year-old male. But guys, being able to do coordinated jumping jacks, being able to do broad jumps, being able to do the agility ladder where you're hopping on one foot, you're doing certain patterns. These are all things that help us maintain muscle, but also maintain power and coordination. All right. So again, continue with our theme. I'm too old, right? I'm just too old to make a lifestyle change. I think sometimes people will say they're too old because they're, a lot of their attention is to their family and their career. And I want to hit home on the family point. A lot of people, especially I think a lot of moms have this the most, but dads is I'll die for my family. You know, I'm like, I'll do whatever it takes. Like, I'll die for my family. But the mindset we should have is not like, man, I'll die for my family, is will I live for my family? Am I willing to do whatever it takes to live with optimal health for the people that I love the most? So yes, you are getting older. Yes, your attention maybe is not just yourself anymore, like maybe when you were in your 20s. But yes, your attention should be on your family, but that is not the excuse for not taking care of your health. That's the emotional charging reason why we have to take care of our health. So I want everyone to know that line is, yes, you can die for your family, but your family needs you to live for them. So are you willing to change for the people that you love most, even if it is in your 40s and your 50s and 60s, so you can be more present for them? And I'll give you guys a good, like a good example, a good story. I was at the dentist recently, one of my former clients, and her daughter had just gotten married. Her daughter's, I think, in her mid-20s. And she was saying that, like, her father basically took care of all the grandkids. Like, they would, and there was like 13 of them or something like that. So they would drop them off at school. They would pick them up. They're like all in the same area. She's got a couple brothers and sisters. Unbelievable. And her daughter was the first of his grandkids that got married. And obviously spending that time, you know, with your grandkids, you have such a close connection. But he was so emotional, I guess, at the wedding that he said, I made it. You know, I made it. I was able to watch my grandkids get married. And to me, you know, as she was telling me that, I was like, oh man, that's amazing. But it was like a little story that I wanted to put in my back pocket, because these are the reasons why strength training and eating healthy are important. It's not just to lose fat so you go back on vacation. It's not just to lift some weights because you just want to have a couple more muscles. It's because those moments right there. So for you right now, if you're someone who's in your 40s, 50s, and 60s, and you're thinking like, is it that important? Ask yourself that question. Do you want to be at your kids, your daughter, your son's wedding, and you want to be present? And how do you want to look? How do you want to act? How does your energy want to be on that day? And even better for me right now, I'm thinking, man, my kids that are young right now, how am I going to be as the grandfather? Am I going to be that person that can keep up with these kids and put wisdom on them and teach them these skills? So these are all big reasons why someone should incorporate strength training and healthy eating and these lifestyle habits that we talk so much about on this podcast, right? So to end off here, guys, like, as we get older, is it easier to transform your health? I wouldn't say it's easier. Like, the reality is, yeah, it could be harder just because our habits become more ingrained, but it doesn't mean it's not possible. And I think over the course of this episode, I'm getting you guys to agree with me. It is possible. So right now, just because it is hard, don't let that stop you from starting. It's the thing that you need to do. So I want to just share with you guys a couple habits that will make the transformation journey as someone in their 40s and 50s, 60s that much easier. So number one, guys, prioritize movement. All right. And the movement that I want you to start with, especially if you're starting the journey, is, hey, we need to walk regularly. So if you could spend 30 to 45 minutes walking, preferably outside in nature every day, it's going to have a dramatic impact on your overall health. And yes, I'm talking about your physical health, but even more on your mental health. All right. So that's one thing that we could do as a habit. Second thing, a big part of what we preach in our program is we need to do strength training. There's lots of modalities of training out there. There's things like Pilates, there's things like yoga, there's things like high rocks, and there's sports you can play. All these things are fantastic, but the foundation, if you look at the most healthiest people in the world, is they do resistance training. You know, whether it's using their body, whether it's using bands, dumbbells, it's doing that anywhere from 2 to 3 days a week at minimum. That's going to make a huge impact, all right, on building muscle, managing your body fat percentage, but also your mental health. There's so much studies that are linked to depression, things like Alzheimer's, in terms of people better managing those situations because of their consistent strength training. All right. So those are two big habits that we want you to incorporate. Other ones, guys, is your hydration and your nutrition. So, hey, we got to drink lots of water. We got to minimize the liquid calories, that we're drinking, the lattes, the alcohol, the juices, the pops. Those are easy ways to develop some of our chronic diseases, but also to tackle on the pounds of weight. With nutrition, especially as you are maturing in your 40s and 50s and 60s, one of the biggest things that we can prioritize is not just fruits and vegetables. Those are important, guys, but it's protein. We need to eat protein. How much protein should you focus on? You want to take your desired body weight and multiply it by anywhere from 0.8 to 1. Simple. I like a range that I like to give a lot of people. For most women, you're going to fall into anywhere between 100 to 150 grams of protein. For most guys, you're going to probably fall in anywhere from 150 to like 200 grams of protein if you're a bigger male. So pick a range from there, and you want to make sure most of your meals, when you look down, one of the best things on there is protein. All right. Other things that we want to prioritize that's going to help transform our health. All right. That's not going to make us feel like we're too old is we want to prioritize sleep. Right. So getting that 7 to 8 hours of sleep. And I think another part of it is just more consistent sleep routine. So life is busy. Life is dynamic. It's always changing. But if you can have more of a consistent bedtime, and I'll just give you an example. Let's just say 10:30 p.m., that becomes the norm. And then you're waking up 5:45 a.m. Like, okay, now you have some consistent schedule. I believe that would be someone getting about 7 hours and 15 minutes. That's going to make a big impact on your energy levels, your ability to move, your ability to think clearly and make decisions throughout the day. But that's an important habit to transforming your health. So yeah, guys, those are all little fundamental habits that you can focus on as a busy professional who's in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. You're not too old to change. And I guess to end off the episode, what I'll say is you can seem so far away from your goal. But if you put your head down on that day-to-day basis, that week-to-week basis, over the course of 12 weeks, but more importantly, over the course of 12 months, you can make a huge change in your health. So you right now, today, listening to this podcast, you might feel like it's so far away, but I promise you, 1 year of really giving 80% execution. So what that means is 80% of the time, do the things that we're talking about. Strength train 3 days a week. Go for the walks. Drink the water. Prioritize the sleep, get the protein. If you do that, you're going to see that you're going to start to make this big lifestyle change. And that 1 year of true discomfort and making this a lifestyle change, that could go on to literally add a decade back to your life. And not just time, but quality to your life, especially as we approach the 60s, 70s, and 80s and so forth. All right, guys. So hopefully everybody took some value from this. Hopefully I broke some belief. If you have someone in your life right now that they are in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, and they haven't been prioritizing their health, send them this podcast and let them know it is not too late. They are not too old to make strength training and healthy eating a part of their life, and they can transform their health and bring out the warrior within. I'm Coach Cory, guys. We specialize in helping busy professionals age 40 plus to rebuild their lifestyle and transform their health. So if you or anyone you know needs help, man, send them this episode. Visit our website, tfwsaga.com, and what we can do is we can set you up with a consultation and map out how we can help you on your journey. Coach Cory signing out. Beastin'.